Hello, welcome or welcome back to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is another in our series of 12 cast on making vlogs, and if you're new to the channel and are not aware of the 12 cast ons, it's a little adventure that I have embarked upon at the beginning of the last 4 or 5 years maybe, where I cast on 12 projects on 12 consecutive days to try and set myself up for my year's worth of making. Over the last couple of years I decided to add an extra fun for me element on to this making journey by vlogging the progress of my projects. I am someone who has multiple works in progress on the go. It's February 2023 as I'm recording this. Just to give you an idea, I've got 27 projects on my Ravelry sort of works in progress list. So it sometimes takes me quite a long time to get through a project from start to finish because I'm working on lots of different things depending on how the mood takes me. This is going to be a 12 cast on making vlog, and I'm going to be chatting about my cast on that happened on day 2 of the 2022 round of cast ons, and I cast on a pair of fingerless mitts. Here is my progress from day 2 with my little number 2 marker on there. And I'm working on a pair of Lunna Mitts, which is a pattern from Shetland Wool Week annual number 4. When I did my 12 cast ons I ended up picking out a prompt, which I think meant that I picked a random book from my sort of pattern book collection, and then I flicked through the book and found a pattern and matched it up with some yarn from my stash, and so that's how the Lunna Mitts came about. It's a pattern by YarnNYarns, and that's the pattern as shown in the magazine. I spun up last year in 2022 some beautiful fibre from Wildcraft UK. It was a combination of wool and silk. So here is one little ball of my hand spun. This fibre was dyed in their Rockpool colourway, and I spun it up on my support spindles and I 2-plied it, and it turned out to be a lace weight yarn, which is a much finer yarn than I like to work with. I'm more than happy to knit forever and a day with 4-ply, but lace weight is just one step too far for me. I've tried a couple of different lace weight projects over the years and it just doesn't gel with me. So once I'd spun the yarn and it turned out to be a lace weight, I went into a small panic about what I was actually going to use it for, because it's such a beautiful colourway and a beautiful fibre. In a way, it was serendipitous that the 12 cast-ons led me to this project. Stockinette on the back and then this lovely lace sort of pattern on the front. February the 17th as I'm sitting down to record this. Again, if you've followed the channel for a while you may know that I employ the use of a bit of a game of chance to help me pick the projects that I concentrate on any given month throughout the year. In February I got the pick a project using handspun prompt. I've cheated slightly because I picked 2 projects that I wanted to try and progress this month. One is my litmus cow, which you'll see in another vlog. I also wanted to pick up the Lunna Mitts as well because they're a small project, so in theory they should be a relatively quick finish. However, I know because it's lace weight yarn and lace weight is not my favourite, that I could have a tendency to maybe procrastinate on this project and it could hang around longer than is needed or is necessary for such a small project. So yeah, I'm hoping to make some progress on this. The month is whizzing by and I haven't yet picked up to this project. It's Friday evening as I'm recording this, so I thought I'd kick this vlog off in the hopes that I can get some work done on these mitts over the weekend, and we'll see where we get to. It'll be really nice to think that maybe I could finish mitt number 1 by the end of the weekend, but I've got quite a few other creative projects that I want to work on this weekend, and I tend to set myself big to-do lists and never have enough time to squeeze everything in. So yeah, we shall see how it goes. Last night I picked up my Lunna Mitts to work on, and I made the mistake of starting really late at night. It was about 11 o'clock at night and I thought I still haven't worked on these mitts, so I must have a go. I figured out, as per my notes, where I was in the chart, merrily knitted away on the first row, and then realised I hadn't taken into account that there's sort of a selve edge on this, so there's 2 stitches before and 2 stitches after the lace chart. and I just launched in and started knitting the lace chart, which meant that I had to unpick my row, and it was so dark I just couldn't really see the fine stitches properly, and I was a bit worried about losing stitches because there were some knit two togethers and some slip knit. I think I may have lost one stitch along the way, so my pattern may get slightly off, but I think I've kind of rescued it. So yeah, I've sat here this morning and unpicked my few stitches. But it did work. Hopefully now I can crack on and get some actual progress on this project. The other thing that's really irking me about this is this fine yarn and these needles just do not want to play nicely together. These are Knit Pro Zings, and I've used these many times for socks and not had a problem, but for some reason the join on this needle and this yarn just do not want to play nicely together, and the yarn keeps getting stuck here. I rummaged through my needles, and unfortunately the only pair of needles that I've got in the same size free are these Likey needles, and they've got a 100cm cord, so the cord on this is going to become annoying pretty quickly, I think. But I'm going to try them out and see how we go. If these get too annoying, then I will probably fish out one of my current sock projects and just swap out the needles for a while, because I just cannot carry on wrestling the yarn over the join in these. Worst case scenario, I could switch to double points, but you know how I feel about those. At least you do if you followed here for a while. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can find a needle combination that works. And of course, I think it was pretty inevitable that because the yarn or the fibre was named Rockpool, that at some point this project would end up at the beach with me. And I need daylight, so it's a good excuse to do some lunch break knitting. And I found this cute little rock pool to sit and knit next to for a little while. There's a couple of days left in February, and I haven't made as much progress on this project as I hoped I might by this time in the month, but I've been working steadily on a couple of my other slightly larger projects. I thought I would check in because I wanted to update you to let you know that these needles are working out just fine. The only thing I'm finding now is that I really have to work on this project in the daylight. In the dark, it's harder for me to see my stitches in this fine yarn on these needles, and I'm completely paranoid that I'm going to accidentally knit stitches together where they kind of scrunch up on the needles and the yarn is so fine. Sunday today, and I've just about reached the point where I need to put in a little waist marker for the thumb. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon now, so there's not too much daylight left, a couple of hours at the most. So I'm going to try and progress this a little bit more today, and then hopefully in the next couple of days before the month runs out, I will try and carve out at least half an hour of knitting time in the daylight. I'm thinking maybe I will make this my sort of morning cup of tea knitting, so when I get up first thing, make myself a cup of tea, do a few rows of knitting on this, and then get my day going and see how much progress I can make in the last couple of days. It's the 1st of March, and therefore I have picked a whole set of new projects to work on for the coming weeks, which means that I'm putting my Lunna Mitts away again, which I'm a little bit sad about because I really only got into the stride with this project over the last week or so. I feel like I've made some reasonable progress. I've only got a couple more pattern repeats until the first mitt is essentially finished. I've put in a little bit of waste yarn there where I will go back and stick in the thumb. After a few sort of false starts when I picked this up, I kind of got into the flow with it. So in some ways I'm sad to be putting it away again, but that is the joy and the pain of the 12 cast-ons. There are lots of projects wanting my attention, and at this early point of the year where all the projects are fresh in my mind, I'm excited to work on them all, and I'm also feeling super motivated to try and get some of my older works in progress done. That's a good problem to have, right? But I'm hopeful that the next time I get to pick this project, I will be able to actually get it done, because the progress that I've made, this cable is getting on my wick, it keeps so long, it keeps folding up on itself, but this is really only a few days worth of work. You can see here where we left off on the day of the cast on. So for a couple of hours work I've managed to add in quite a lot of progress on this. It's short rounds, although as I say the yarn is a little bit trickier for me to work with just because of the fineness, but yeah, I should be able to, in theory, make good progress and finish these, she says boldly, the next time I get to pick them up. But for now the project gets to go back in its lovely Mindful Magpie project bag, which is covered in spinning fibre, because everything in this house is either covered in spinning fibre or cat hair. I guess I will get to come back to it at some point. Who knows when that will be, but you will find out by the magic of YouTube right now. So lovely friends, we have transported ourselves to May 2024. So I think the last time I checked in might have been at the beginning of March 2023 for this project, and unfortunately I just haven't picked this up since. So yeah, we're doing a little bit of wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. We've launched ourselves into the future, which will now be the past by the time this video goes up. It's all very confusing. So I have recently been setting my making priorities for the month of May. I was able to put the Lunna Mitts into the mix. So here is where we're at. This is going to be no different than what you've just seen. But I thought I would just share a little starting point for me. I think I'll probably pop a little stitch marker on the back here on the stockinette portion, just so I can give myself a little sort of progress marker, and we'll see how far we can get with these. It's actually a couple of weeks into May as I'm recording this. I've been spending quite a bit of time on a larger spin project and also working on a sweater project, but I wanted to try and pick this up from today. It's Wednesday the 15th of May. So I've still got half of May left. I know last time I was chatting about these mitts, I said, oh, they were a really small project, they should be a quick finish. And here we are, like 14, 15 months later. They're still on the needles. So yeah, we'll see. We shall see. But the starting point is here. I might set myself a little goal of working on them for at least 15 minutes every day before I pick up any other project. So we'll see if I can stick to that, and hopefully that will help me make some decent progress and maybe even get these finished. Keep everything crossed for me. Confession time. It's always confession time here. I have finished my first glove almost. I've still got to put the thumb in, but I have not managed to do the thing that I said I might and do 15 minutes a day on this project. I've had quite a few days in the last couple of weeks where I've barely touched my needles, which is fine. There's lots going on and I don't always have the headspace to do much other than scroll around on my phone or listen to a book and stare into space. But hey, seasons of life and all that. There are 2 days now left in the month. James is currently away supporting family, so I've got the house to myself. I do have work today and tomorrow, and then I have the last day of the month Friday off work to myself. So I am going to set myself a few little priorities for my May projects, and I reckon, I know I say this a lot, if I push through I can get the second one of these finished. I mean, it's literally like the foot of a sock, which I can do in an evening if I put my mind to it. Okay, it does have a little bit of patterning to it, but it's fairly straightforward, and yeah, this is my number one priority. Fairly certain that the last time I checked in for this vlog a couple of months ago, I was feeling very confident that I would have this project finished in a couple of days' time. Well, fast forward to the beginning of August and the Lunna Mitts are still on my needles. I have cast off that first mitt, I just need to go back and put the thumb in, but the second mitt is still needles and yarn. It's August, as I've already mentioned. After quite a busy few months with loads of family stuff going on, I didn't manage to get round to recording an August making plans video. I didn't roll the dice for myself to pick projects. There just wasn't time to make the video. What I thought I would do for August instead is try and do a little bit of a catch up on some of the smaller projects that I've got that are close to being finished. And also there's been a couple of months where I've done my making plans videos and then haven't really been able to progress some of the projects that I picked out. So August is going to be kind of a little bit of a catch-up month for me, I hope. I should be spending a lot more time at home, touch wood and all that. So yeah, the first thing on my list to do is Lunna Mitts. So I've decided with some of these smaller projects, which hopefully won't take too long to finish, I'm going to kind of concentrate on this until it's finished and then pick up sort of the thing that's next closest to being finished, and hopefully that way I'll get a couple of things done in August. So yeah, Lunna Mitts are the first on my list. It's the weekend, it's Saturday morning as I'm recording this, and it's pretty miserable outside given that it's August. It's quite warm, but it's very drizzly with rain, and tomorrow's meant to be really, really hot. So it's going to be a weekend to stay indoors and avoid the extremes of weather, I think. So hopefully we can have a nice cosy weekend and start on this second mitt and maybe get a good way through it. But I know better than to promise that it'll only take me a couple of days to finish something, because we all know how that turns out. But yeah, let's see what happens. Hey friends, it's editing and just popping in for a moment. I'm just putting together the vlog for the Lunna Mitts, and I realised that somewhere along the line some footage has gone astray, i.e. I've accidentally deleted it probably. I have no idea what progress I made back in August 2024 on those mitts, but obviously I did not finish them. We're next going to skip ahead to July 2025 this year, where I picked these projects up again. I thought I'd recorded a little bit of an intro to say that I was working on the Lunna Mitts during July and that I was going to be taking them away with me after a difficult sort of 18 months or so with family stuff. James and I had an opportunity to go away for a couple of nights to a town not too far from here called Hereford, which we'd never been to before. We were hopping on a train and going to just spend a night or two just getting away from it all, and I decided to take the Lunna Mitts with me. So yeah, that's where we're at as we rejoin footage from the past. Okay, there are 2 days left in July now. It's Wednesday the 30th of July and I have not had a chance to get back to these after my sort of few days spent with them at the beginning of the month where we had that lovely trip to Hereford. So this is my progress on the second mitt. I've still got quite a way to go, but I think I knitted for like maybe an hour or an hour and a half to get that far. I did a little bit of knitting on the train, as you saw, a little bit of knitting in our hotel room, but not a huge amount. So I'm hopeful, I'm still hopeful that I can get these finished by the end of the month. It feels like there's a lot of knitting, but I'm literally not gonna knit on anything else now until these are finished. That is my promise, because they've already been on the needles for far too long. They deserve to be finished, and I think I can do it if I set my mind to it. So yeah, hold me to it, hold me to it. It's Wednesday today. It's my day of not working at my day job, my paid job. I have been doing some Yarn and Yarns stuff this morning and some bits and pieces around the house, like all the kind of boring stuff that I do. All that boring kind of housework stuff that I do when I'm at home and not at the day job. But I think I've pretty much, apart from a couple of really quick video clips that I want to film, I'm pretty much done with my to-do list today. After I have filmed the bits and pieces that I want, I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon, I say the rest of the afternoon, it's rapidly approaching 4 o'clock, and my evenings, or my afternoon and evening, I'm going to be spending on this, and we'll see how far we can get. So friends, I thought today was going to be the day that I wrapped this video up. It's the beginning of September and I cast off my mitts in July, I think. Was it July? No, August. July. I can't remember now. I think it was July. And they'd just been hanging around for ages waiting to be blocked so that I could then say that this project was officially finished. And I did want to block these to open up that beautiful lace pattern, but in doing so I've made a couple of mistakes with this final step in this process. I decided to block these over my, like the leg of my sock blocker. First issue is that by doing that I've stretched these out a bit too much. So let me just put one of these on and you can see it's quite baggy now, particularly at the top here. There's just too much room. I've stretched out that top part just too much. I'm going to soak these again and then just lie them out to dry flat, which is probably what I should have done in the first place, in the hopes that they might shrink back in again. If not, I'll have to just accept that they are what they are. It doesn't mean they're not wearable. It just means that they're a little bit loose around the top. But the biggest mistake I made in the blocking was that I forced this second mitt onto the blocker. For some reason, the bind off and cast on this mitt are a bit tighter than the one on the mitt that I've just shown. And I've actually busted a few of the stitches open, which is a real pain. So I'm going to have to take out this bit. I mean, it's not a big issue, it's just a couple of rows of garter. The biggest issue is going to be that, you know, the colours might be fairly jarringly different. I mean, these two look quite different next to each other. They look, I think, more different on the camera than they do in real life. You can tell they're definitely from the same yarn. But yeah, it might be that there's a bit more of a contrast on the top here. It flows quite nicely because obviously I use the same part of the yarn. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm a little bit frustrated with myself, as you can probably tell. But as always happens with these projects, and I'm sure it will happen with this one, sometimes when I cast something off and it's not quite as I had in my mind, I'm not going to say perfect because I'm not a perfectionist. I never strive to be perfect as such. But but sometimes I cast things off and they haven't turned out quite as I had imagined. And I think, oh, that was like a waste of my time and effort, and I kind of put that project to one side. And then inevitably I come back to it a couple of days, weeks, months later, and I pick it up again and I realise it's perfectly fine. It was just in that moment that I felt frustrated with myself, the process, the project, whatever it might have been. So I'm sure that will be the case with this as well. So yeah, I'm going to spend a little bit of time today in this rainstorm that you might be able to hear trying to fix this, which is not something that was on my to-do list today, but I really wanted to get this project finished. Well, yeah, I don't know about you, but do you ever put off little jobs that should be finished in 10 seconds? My gloves are finally finished. Woohoo! It took me way longer than it should have to fix my broken cast off or bind off, or cast on or bind off, whatever it was, and to re-soak these. Sometimes when I finish a project, or almost finish a project, and there's just a little something that needs tweaking to make it finished, maybe it's just weaving in some ends, or in this case fixing a broken cast off, I just can't be dealing with it. There's something about the fact that I've cast off the project once, therefore it's finished in my mind. And I just don't want to deal with it. And I just procrastinate on it. But anyway, all is done now, and yeah, I couldn't be happier. As per usual, I spend loads of time faffing around something, and then I'm really pleased when it's finished. I re-soaked these after I fixed the bind off. They have shrunk back in, so the top bit around my fingers aren't as stretched and wavy anymore. I love how light and cosy these are. It's after a couple of really rainy and fairly cold weeks here in South Wales. The sun's shining today, and just having these on, even though they're really light, is making me almost too warm. So I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of these now that they are properly finished. As I say, it doesn't feel like I'm wearing anything because they're so light. They do look quite mismatched on the camera, and I guess they kind of do in real life as well. That's just the nature of the way that the yarn knitted up, my hand spun yarn, from the original sort of fibre as it was dyed. But they're definitely a pair, sisters rather than twins. And I'm really happy to have them to wear, to have them off of my works in progress list. These were on the needles for far too long. When I weighed these, I think all told I only used 13 grams of my lace weight yarn, so I've still got quite a lot of that yarn left. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. But I'm really glad that I found a project to at least use some of it on. Oh, I love these colours. Definitely lives up to the namesake of the dyed fibre, which was Rockpool. You can definitely see those colours in these gloves. Another 12 cast-ons project finished. Sadly not one from this year, 2025, but you know, there's still a few months in the year left. I might be able to get a few more things finished. We shall see. Please do let me know in the comments below whether you have any projects that, you know, are quite small in the scheme of things, that really should have been finished ages ago, that you still have either hanging around or that you've recently finished. Also, please do let me know if you are someone who stumbles over the last little bit of adjusting or finishing to get a project off your needles. I'd love to know that I'm not alone in that. Somehow I have a mental block when something in my mind is finished. That's it, I'm done with it. regardless of whether it's actually finished or not. Or just generally do let me know what is the most recent project that has come off of your needles. What have you finished in the last few weeks? I would love to know. I'd love to chat all about your making with you in the comments below. That is everything for this video, so I hope you will join me for the next one. I think the next one will probably be my October making plans video, so I hope you will join me for that one. But until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some other things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.